feel like Jules has always been this like really ethereal, magnetic type of person. I feel like I was really hypnotized by Jules when I first was introduced to her. I loved her style, and when I started watching season 1, I would start doing my makeup like she was. And thinking forward to season 3, I'm seeing such a similarity in the behavior she had with Nate's dad and what she basically thought she needed to do to like get by in this world. Even though I feel like season 3 was really jarring for a lot of us, like, oh my gosh, why would Jules do that? It's kind of what she's been doing this whole time. Like, she thinks that like sex is kind of a means to an end for her, but she feels like it's almost monetary until she meets Rue. But then you see this really playful side of her that's so fun with her makeup and her outfits. And I feel like because Rue is going through really adult things, Jules is that really playful element that reminds her why life is worth living. She has these beautiful, like, little flowers on the outside of her eyes, fun hair, fun outfits. And she can have fun at the carnival, but also be in another scene and feel like she owes favors to Nate's dad. I just love how so many of the costumes in this show reflect the costumes and the colors. Even in season 3, even though it was so different than season 1 and 2, there's still so many symbolic ways that are shown that Jules is her angel. Like, Jules is really Rue's only reminder that life is so beautiful. Although she has a dark side too, because she is going to drink as well because she's going through her own demons. So I feel like season 1 is like balance between Jules being like innocent but also really fun and opening Rue's eyes up to like what's worth living in life. I feel like she'll literally be, she's that person who will really be friends with anyone, and you almost feel like you're a fan if you know her. I would feel really similar to Rue, where I'm like, wow, you're so cool for me, and the fact that you love me is incredible, but I also feel like everyone loves you, so it makes me feel like your fan almost. Season 2 is really when Jules starts understanding that Rue has a problem. So many people go back and forth with this idea that like it was Jules's fault that Rue owes things to Lori, but she was concerned. Like, I felt for her so much. I have people in my life who are openly sober, including my fiance, and if I had ever heard that he was drinking, like, I would have no idea. I would be completely aside for myself. I would feel like my world is turned upside down. And you see this sadness in her. And the fact that she went to her mom, I mean, that's a responsible thing to do. I don't think there's enough people in the world who are actually willing to do that. I miss these outfits in season 3 so much. She really is like just such a little girl, and not to like infantilize that obviously because there's very adult things she's dealing with, but she is so many people's savior, and that's why I think she was dressed up as an angel for Halloween, because she just brings so much joy to the places that she's around, especially again to Rue when she needs it the most. But it's a good reminder that as much joy that you can bring people, you can't always bring them like healing. Like, you can make them happy in the moment, but that's not going to mean that they're going to be happy for the rest of their life. Oh, I love these messy buns so much. It's like the happiest girl who's in this series, at least for season 1 and 2. It's like she almost has the darkest stuff going on. Like, Rue, people know the dark things that are going on, obviously, like really dark. She has this like weird dynamic with like Nate and his dad, and like nobody ever finds out about it, right? I feel like it goes to show you when you're in love with somebody who struggles with how much that can drag you down. Just because you're not doesn't mean that their addiction isn't going to also bring you down. And so it's like, where do you stop? Like, I think that's such a good message in the series. It's like, where does it stop? Where are the lines between when it's my business versus not my business, when I've done everything I could versus when I haven't done everything I could? I have heard so many controversies about how a lot of the characters in Euphoria season 3, the women, are sex workers. I do wish there was more depth to Jules, but it does reflect some of what we saw in season 1 and 2 of this idea that like the only way I'm going to have what I want is underneath the surface. Like, I need to use my body for money. And so we see like she has this beautiful penthouse. But I wonder if, there is this sense of detachment that she has with Rue now, where they aren't as giddy and in love as they were in season 1 and 2. And she says she doesn't miss high school or the suburbs or us. And I see this the same season 1 and 2 Euphoria eyeshadow on her in the scene, which is something I didn't notice the first watch around. And so it's ironic that she says that as she's basically doing makeup as if she was back in high school. There is this commentary on that. Like, there are a lot of people nowadays, like influencers, content creators, OF creators, a lot of different roles now that don't require you to have to work in person and are very non-traditional. So I think there's something spoken on that. And I feel like a lot of these folks, like for me, I majored in theater, so now I'm an aspiring content creator. I feel like season 3 kind of shows that dark side of it where, okay, well, you might see this content creator who makes thousands and thousands of dollars every month. Their life must be perfect. But I think Jules is a good reflection of that artist underneath the surface where, well, you don't know what happened when they were younger, you know, everything she went through with transitioning, things that she went through in high school with Nate and his dad. And like the other girls from high school are probably like, oh my gosh, like I want Jules' life. That must be amazing. But they don't see what's going on underneath the surface. And that's the reality of a lot of content creators and influencers and non-traditional workers nowadays. Like I felt like her dating a plastic surgeon was so fascinating. Like I admire the like respect that it looked like he had for her. I guess I'm always just looking for the best in people. I think a lot of people had problems with it. Maybe they thought it was really like predictable or like, oh my gosh, of course you would do that for a trans woman. I feel like Jules, in a sense, is really mature because she's basically been forced to become an adult at a very young age in multiple senses. But you can like see the pain in her eyes, you know? And look, you have this Euphoria like eyeshadow again, and it's really ironic that she's like, I don't miss high school at all, but then she's wearing that makeup. I thought the storyline of like having the recording of them two and then just dropping off, I don't know why that wasn't continued. I don't know if like there just wasn't enough capacity to like continue talking about it. I do kind of wish that storyline had continued instead of Nate just being literally tortured, because I could not watch those scenes. I had to skip by them. It was awful. I just like don't know how necessary they were. I don't know. I need someone to explain to me who respects horror movies and who like produces horror movies, like why do you feel like it is necessary to tell the story? Because for me, like when I'm seeing people tortured, I'm just like, why is this necessary? Comedy, that's necessary. It makes people laugh. Even season 1 and 2 of this, I'm like, that's necessary. There's a commentary on culture and how the irony of the actual title Euphoria doesn't actually mean that there's anything euphoric going on. There's darkness behind all of these people. But I just don't know, like, why the gore? Like, what? For me, I'm just like, I don't know why that was necessary. Oh my gosh, this scene was like the most cringe for me when she gets hired to make the painting and then she just draws all over it. Oh my god, why is it so hard for me to watch that? I guess because I'm a creative and the idea of having this big opportunity and being like, this is my big break, and then people hating it, I would actually like crawl into a hole. I like don't understand the purpose of this. And I always try to do my due diligence before I do breakdowns, and I always like to watch series twice at least so I can watch through it. So to be fair, I have not watched this a second time yet. It's just kind of like the Nate torture. I'm like, I can't look at it. This is another thing where I'm just like, I don't know how necessary it was for Jules and Rue to hang out if they weren't going to end up together. I just don't know, especially with like the last scene of Jules getting really upset at Rue. She's talking about wanting to have kids, and it's like she's really just asking for help, you know? Like people who are struggling with addiction are never going to be like, hey, I have an addiction. They're going to be like, they're going to talk about other things, but it's going to be underneath the surface sometimes. And she says, I have to live for something greater than myself, which is, you know, spirituality. She goes, you show up, you disappear, you make plans, you don't follow through. And Jules like starts blaming her that them being together is like costing them their relationship. And that made me so sad. If she's not allowed to have people over, that's on her. So I just like don't like how Jules comes across, and oh, I could have cried. I feel like the internet has collectively agreed that we all love Alexa Demie. There's something about the way that all of the girls talk in Euphoria that's just so truthful. Lori, we have Cassie, we have Maddie. Like, they all have a really specific way that they talk and cadence to their voice. It's very realistic. I mean, I went to acting school where we learned how to enunciate really well, and I have a pretty universally sounding voice. And there's nothing wrong with that because then you can alter it to different things. But all of the personalities in it, it's just wild. I don't know how I felt about Maddie, like the first time that I encountered her in the series, and everyone talks about it. They're like, no one would dance like this in high school. It's like, that's the point. It's called euphoria. It is meant to make a more romanticized version of life while also being ironic and showing that, like, it's not all fun and games. I think we all love Maddie more than Cassie because Cassie tries hard. I mean, you could smell desperation from a mile away, and Cassie's such a definition of desperation. She wants to be Maddie, but she also hates Maddie. I honestly love it being set at a carnival because I feel like there's this constant dichotomy between the idea of things being euphoric and then the underneath of the and all the really, really dark parts of it. And it kind of reflects what it's like to be in high school, where like you're almost an adult and you're doing very adult things, but there's also carnivals. You also live underneath your parents' house. You're also still going to things that you're like, oh yeah, we used to go to this when we were little, and we're still kind of little, but not anymore. I love the way that the camera did all these really long shots throughout the series. So many crazy different camera speed pans. I don't know if that's the name of it, but the send that into the slow clap. And there's this really tricky dynamic because we love Maddie because she can be very loyal, but she's also very scary and she'll threaten you. Are you a good friend? Are you a bad friend? It becomes this really crazy circle. I've had people in my life like that where it's addictive to be around them because when you're in, you feel like the most special person ever. Like, this is like one of the most iconic scenes of Maddie in general, where she's just like trying to get in the bathroom, and there's a whole like Cassie situation. And it's that moment where Cassie's like, I'm in Maddie's circle, and if she finds out that I'm not in Maddie's circle anymore, she's like actually gonna kill me. I get that terror. I understood that so much. And her playing house when she was babysitting, like there's this little childlike part of her. The public sees her in these stances with her arms crossed and her cursing at people and calling them names and pushing over chili pots. But then in the privacy of like her work, she's just like a little girl. She's playing dress up. She wants to have a house. She wants to have a bunch of fancy clothes. She's just like the rest of us. Oh my God. I would pass out of embarrassment. Oh my gosh. Just that look. Oh my God. That is what Cassie was so afraid of. That is I mean, this speaks to so many, I think, middle and high school girls who have ever experienced a friendship like this, where that is the scariest thing that could ever happen. Your parents are meanwhile just like, there's like terrible men out there and you need to be protected and you need to be safe and you need to have this pepper spray. And you're like, it's fine. I'll walk home by myself in the dark. But like, if that one friend gets mad at me, that's what I'm more afraid of. I love how she was doing Lexi's makeup. It's like that dynamic that I saw in season 3 too, where she has that little wave to Lexi as she's going out the mirror, and she's like a big sister to Lexi, even though I think they're the same age. And she talks about like, you know, no one can tell if confidence is real or not. She's basically admitting like, I'm not always confident, but she would never say that. She said it in her own words. I feel like Jules from season 2 to 3 is such a big change, but Maddie season 2 to 3, I feel like gives off the same energy, but just actually like appropriate to her age. She has the confidence of going up to somebody to ask for work. It's just work instead of high school. And like her hair and makeup, I loved this scene where Cassie sees what she looks like, because it's like on paper Cassie got everything that Maddie had, but in reality Maddie has the confidence and she's got the clothes. She doesn't see that she doesn't have the apartment, and this mimics basically who she is as an entire character. Is like, on the outside she's gonna look like she lives in Jules's penthouse, but on the inside she don't have money. She's struggling. She got fired. Lots of stuff went on with her and her business. And you see this slow zoom in on her when she's looking at, I think it was Cassie and Nate, because a lot of people argue, oh, she misses Nate or she misses Cassie, and maybe it's just kind of like Maybe she misses Cassie. I don't know. I don't think she misses Nate. I think maybe she's like, damn, I wish I had this life. Like, I'm going to go back to my crappy apartment, even though everybody thinks I have it together. Meanwhile, they have all these people coming together for them. And who do I have? Like, my boss doesn't like me. I feel like she might just be longing for like someone to believe in her, like someone to help her and support her. There's like so many slow pans during this wedding, and I think it really is meant to make you think, like, is this because of Nate? Is this because of Cassie? Is this because of the idea of a white picket fence? Does she secretly want that beneath all of the makeup? Does she actually want something like that instead of being a manager, as much as she loves that? Yeah, and like, you can argue that she just wanted to get Cassie on OnlyFans because she wanted the money. But I think she's the type of person where if it's genuinely outside of her values, she wouldn't do it. So I think she misses Cassie. She misses the friendship that she thought she had. And you could tell that she's concerned, where she says, like, don't go with that guy. And she goes with the guy, and she's like genuinely looking for him. She would literally burst down that door if she could to make sure that Cassie's not with that big, like, don't trust these girls. They're all stray dogs. Like, she's looking out for her like a mom. It's interesting because the actual job she works in, if she were to tell people, it's like, I work in talent management. It sounds so sexy, but she's treated not very well. She does work that she doesn't really want to be doing. It's very similar to how she dresses up with really nice makeup and really nice clothes that I bet she thrifted, like she's such a good eye for design. But on the inside, it's like, oh, I don't have that much money, really. I'm actually struggling, but I don't want anyone to see that. And she gets fired, and she says, thank you for the opportunity. For as much of a outwardly aggressive person she can be, she's pretty professional at work. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. She has lots of, like, inspiring mantras that I feel like I've heard for years and years and years from life coaches that she says in the show. And I think we obviously see a lot of anger, and she's being aggressive towards Cassie, and she might not have the best way of like physically expressing it, but it kind of brings us back to that moment in season 2 where she's like, did you actually just do that? Like, did you actually just screw me over? And she's just having that realization again. And also, I mean, the fact that she would risk asking Alamo for help for Cassie, that's true love. And that's really like the love story, I think, in season 3 is Maddie and Cassie more than anything else, I would say. It's like, at the end of the day, all of these years, all of these things they've gone through, all the work that she's putting in to help Cassie, this is where we're at. What a change she has made from season 1 to season 3. I find Cassie probably I think, like, the most interesting character of this whole show, because I feel like I could resonate with her so much. Like, I really had a hard time knowing who I was in middle and high school, but because of that, I would just attach to certain people and then honestly try to like copy what their personality was. And so when I had those, like, when I saw those moments of her like copying what Maddie was wearing, I was like, this is so cringe, but I understand this so much. And honestly, just wanting like a guy, like wanting the approval of a guy, wanting the approval of a really cool girl, and trying so desperately to have it that it actually pushes all of them away. And her just like making a fool of herself just for the attention of a guy. I find Sydney Sweeney so funny in just like the most natural way. Like, she does not half-ass anything. And that's what I love about her work. I mean, she's played Cassie, she's played that wrestler in that movie. She has so many different skills, and she goes all in. I think people get like confused because she has this like Valley Girl way of talking, and I personally find it so unique. I find that the people that are the easiest to make fun of are the most unique and interesting, personally. Like, I want to be easy to make fun of because that means I'm memorable, and I find her to be so memorable. And I just feel like this moment of her and Nate in the car as things are getting faster, and her physically getting faster in the car and her getting scared, also is like, oh my gosh, she's getting closer and closer to this idea of like betraying her friend. And she's like, is she gonna go there? Is she gonna do that? She's laughing one second, she's scared the next second, her hair is flying through the wind. She's so good at channeling her inner terror and sadness. And that's so much of what Euphoria is, because again, it's an irony. The name of the show is ironic because it's not, in my opinion, romanticizing any of these really dark things. It's utilizing art, it's utilizing beautiful things to portray a story. But I personally did not feel like it was romanticizing to cheat on your boyfriend or what Rue was going through or any of the really dark things. It was fascinating to watch and see how many different layers people have. And Cassie's such a huge depiction of that. especially with the makeup. Her makeup always has these pretty sparkles. It's very youthful, and her hair's up in clips, and she has lipstick and curly hair, but she's somehow like always crying. This dichotomy between somebody wearing really beautiful, stunning, like youthful, bright makeup and also crying is its own message. And like you see how much work she's putting into now impressing Nate. Just for that 1 second that they might see you. And I think a big piece of commentary in like media in general is just like, how trivial is this? I mean, it's just a guy, right? But in a high schooler's brain, a guy is everything. And what does that have to say about humanity as a whole, where we can relate so much to something where in concept it feels so trivial, like maybe it's a boss saying something to you that's really rude and you're letting it take over your day. But we do this all the time. Cassie is an amazing reflection of so many of us. And like this scene in the bathroom where she finally cracks because someone's commenting on what she's wearing. Like, she's not cracking because Maddie is suspicious. She's cracking because they're talking about the dress and somehow it all comes out. Like, she is, I love her acting. I love the intensity of her emotions. I feel like as a woman, hashtag as a woman, I don't love pulling that, but like literally as a woman, like it is so hard for me, maybe it's just me, to channel my inner rage and sadness. When I was studying at the Esper Studio in New York, that was something I always got really anxious about when I would do the scenes. I'm like, am I gonna cry? Am I gonna cry? Am I gonna get angry enough? And whatever she's doing, like, Sid, can you tell me your secret? Can you tell me how you prepare for this? Whatever you're doing, just you have this incredible way of honing that. And I just admire that so much. You've heard of people in high school doing this. You saw people in high school doing this. It's so cringe, and that's why it's so good. You're very rarely gonna hear me say anything on this channel like this person didn't do a good job, or because it is all subjective, and I just want to create a channel where we can talk about it, and you can also disagree with me. That's totally fine. But I just want you to get some confirmation on like the feelings that you're having during the show, even if it's something you don't agree with. It's just something. This is what I always need when I'm watching a show. I'm like, I just need to talk about it with someone. I don't need someone to agree with me, although that's always nice, but I just want to talk about it with someone. But just look at this. Like, look at all the expressions that go on in her face. That is the face of someone who's overthinking. And if you overthink, you can relate to Cassie. I'm sorry if you don't like Cassie, but we all have so much Cassie in us. We overthink everything. And like, we see this reflected in season 3, where she's doing the exact same thing, but in a more adult situation. She's very passionate. Is she completely out of touch of so many different things? Yeah, as many of us artists are. Just like I can relate to Jules as an artist, like Cassie, she has this other artistic expression about her. She kind of reminds me of like Trisha Paytas. Paytas? Is that how you say her name? Who's like on the show for a hot second. And maybe that's why they brought her on, because she doesn't care. She doesn't care, but she also cares. You know, I remember meeting people in college, and there was like a certain group of people that I just like really couldn't have a conversation with, because I'd be like, oh, like, what is your major? And they're like, business. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, what do you like about business? They're like, I don't know. You know, like, people who don't care, I just can't have conversations with. I could have a convo with Cassie all day, because, okay, is she completely out of touch? Yeah. For me, it is very interesting and fascinating to talk to people who at least care about something. And have passion. Like, demanding however many thousands of dollars worth of flowers is so wild. And I mean, it just goes, that's the other side of people who are really passionate, is they get so passionate that it's just like, you're wasting so much time. And that right there is basically the happiest they're ever gonna be. Why am I laughing? Like, she even finds something to be stressed out about on her wedding day because she cares so deeply. Right when they were about to be really happy, that is when everything goes to sugar. Her husband is being completely attacked, and she's just crying. This is actually very funny for the amount of violence it is. I bet they were cracking up behind the scenes of this, because like, how ridiculous is that? It's just so ridiculous, but it really is a mirror of like, she's in herself so much. She's so passionate just in her own brain that she just can't see what's around her. She's so unaware of what's around her. And it's like just like in high school, she's doing the same thing, but on a different scale. In high school, it's house parties. Here, it's, well, it's also house parties, but it's more it's house parties where she could actually get business and get a huge following overnight. Like people have so many opinions about just like this plot line as a whole. I don't know how I feel about it. I have so many thoughts, and I just don't have like a strong enough perspective to actively be like, oh my god, this was horrible or this was great. It just was. That's kind of, I want to have commentary that's talking about what was and how that could be perceived on multiple ends. So if you feel differently than what I've been saying, like, I can see that. I can completely understand that. So like what I'm trying to understand from this whole like Cassie becomes very large scene, I'm wondering if it's this whole idea of, you know, when you're an influencer, when you're a content creator, you might be walking in the street, you're the same size as other people. When they walk by her, like online, millions of people know who she is. And so it becomes this larger presence. I feel like I remember Taylor Swift saying in her recent documentary how there's her, but then there's almost this like shadow of her, or this other version of her. She might have said it differently. I don't want to misspeak, but you know, this person on the billboard where it's just like this shadow that's just so much larger than her. But it's, at the end of the day, it's just a singular person, but we put these celebrities on a pedestal where they almost seem like, I mean, replace Cassie with Taylor Swift, and that is kind of how we all see Taylor Swift. It's like, you mention her name, everybody knows who she is. It's almost like she's a larger person. But in reality, that's, you know, it's obviously ridiculous to see that in execution in this scene, but it's kind of true when things are translated through social media. Guys, I'm sorry I did not even do a Lexi breakdown because I don't know. I feel like her character is so, like, once again, she's crying so much, and Maddie's like her mom. She's like, I own you now. You need to listen to what I'm saying. There is a comedy to it because it's like, dude, you're a grown adult and you're letting someone your own age being like, I own you, and she will willingly allow it. And meanwhile, she's doing pretty awful things to get famous. And I think it's a commentary on like influencer culture as a whole and fame as a whole. And do we really want to be famous? What is happening behind the scenes? A lot of it has to do with Maddie's whole themes too. What is happening behind the scenes? What do we not see? I feel like I put famous people on a pedestal sometimes because I'm like, I want to go to red carpets and I want to do this, but you have no idea what's going on underneath. I mean, I don't even want to bring up like Ozempic culture and just like the very scary part of that, not people who are like actually using it to help, but like people who are using it who don't need it. And also the scary part of like when you have more money, it's not like your problems go away, your problems get amplified. Your problems just have more zeros attached to them. This is so scary. Like, I just don't know why this whole thing was even necessary. Of like this happening to Nate, I guess by the snake, it was symbolic, but you see her crouch down and Maddie didn't. I think it's very symbolic of the entire series of Cassie's always going to be the one who falls apart, and even though Maddie's fallen apart on the inside, she's never going to show it. That's the love story in this series, is Maddie and Cassie. And like, love stories aren't always perfect. Their friendship was definitely not perfect. I thought it was weird that she didn't talk about Nate passing away to her sister, but I'm not even gonna go there. I can't even go down the Nate rabbit hole because it's just like upsetting. I'm like, I don't even want to focus on that stuff. In case you haven't noticed, that my channel is very feminine and it is for the girlies and it is about the girlies. So, and if you like that sort of stuff, speaking of girls, I have an entire girl series that you should totally check out next. Go ahead and subscribe and let me know what else I should deep dive on. And then there's this like final scene, like the ring light, it's almost like a sun behind her, or an eclipse. And an eclipse, I believe, usually symbolizes something new or something transitioning. And she's looking out the window, and it's like all she has for herself is that ring light at the end of the day. Angel Ruru. I just wonder how many people were in my school that were hurting this much that I didn't know about. You know what I'm trying to understand is, did Rue do all of this to herself? And is that why the outcome happened how it happened? Or did the creators do this to Rue? I really, really enjoy the realism of this amongst the partying. And we obviously see over, you know, I don't even want to say romanticized, but very artistic portrayals of what is like for her when she's at parties. But there's moments like this where you almost feel that, like, just, oh my God, she's like dirt. Her hair is always really frizzy. And you know that feeling where you're dirty and you just had this desperation of needing something so badly. So like you're dirty, it's like hot outside, it's dry. You're like really hungry or you're really thirsty or you need something. And that, I appreciate that being portrayed that way. And her being more childlike when she's with Jules on the bike, you know, for a moment. It's like for a fleeting moment. That's why I love having like date nights in the middle of the week, because sometimes when things get frustrating, I'm like, can we just have a moment? Can we just have an hour or two where we can eat bread and pasta and just not? That's how I feel whenever I'm on FaceTime with my friends too. I'm like, can we just have a moment where we laugh about something and forget about all the crazy things that are going on right now? And again, I appreciate how her hair and makeup are right now. Like her hair is very frizzy. Makeup is either like not on, or you can tell it's, you know, she's been like crying, or it's like crusty. And we see this, like this scene of Jules putting on makeup for her. Jules is the one who's literally making her more joyful. She's putting on the makeup. She's following along with Jules, and she realizes like it's a little too distant from who she is. So at the end of the day, as much as she wants to be more joyful and have more happiness and be more on the surface free, she can't. And for me, the reason why I'm not going to be the type of person to be like, this episode was bad, or like this series is bad, like I'm never going to say that, for so many reasons. First of all, I want this to be a space where you can just hear someone else talking about what maybe someone might have been trying to do, and then make a decision for yourself. And the other reason why I'm not going to say that is, I think people forget, like, there are so many contributors to a show. I would never just say because I don't like a particular director or an actor or a creator. I would never want to discount an entire show unless there was a really good reason to. Because I respect, because there are so many other talented people in this, and I want to give them what they deserve, which is just a recognition. Part of me wishes her sister and her mom were in season 3, but the other part is it would just like be way too sad, I think. This scene was so guttural, and really how much anger happens when drugs are in the mix of a family. You know she loves her mom and her sister, you know she loved her dad, but when this unwelcome guest comes into the situation, you have to see it of what it is, which is an addiction, and an addiction is a disease. She's so memeable because they're just so honestly ourselves, and I'm so curious what the direction has been throughout this entire series before they start filming of, hey, you know, maybe forget what the lines are and be yourself. I don't know what it is. And going back to this idea of, there's so many like dichotomies of this. There's so many dichotomies of euphoric, but also the saddest, most depressing thing you've ever seen. Of really, really sad things going on, but things being really funny, especially from Rue and Cassie. I think they bring so much comic relief. This is so, and I'm a dreamer, you know, and Steve Jobs is my hero. She is so, love her. Like, look at that. And she brings it to her NA meeting. She's trying so hard, but at the same time, she's also not trying at all. The ridiculousness of season 3 with Rue is, and it's so sad because there are so many moments that are so funny, but it's such a terrible, scary scenario. Like, it's actually horrifying, all this stuff that they're doing for the smuggling. And I mean, before I saw the last episode, part of me was just like, she's kind of screwed in so many ways. She's her own worst enemy. She's got a lot of enemies too. How does it end well for her? I was almost hopeful for this because I'm like, okay, well, at least the club is not working for Lori, but then obviously we see that it is, oh my gosh, so much scarier. I just like don't know why there were meetups with Jules. Why was her plotline a thing? I don't get it. Was it like commentary on, I mean, what I mentioned was all I really know about Jules's plotline. Other than that, I'm kind of like, why? I think it also speaks to the idea that on the surface, you just see Rue, oh, she's hanging out with a rich friend of hers, and she's got to go off to work now, and Jules has no idea what's going on underneath the surface. And the car is almost like a transition as she's starting to listen to Bible verses. It's the transition between this world that she used to have and this dark reality. One second she's at this wedding, the next second she's got to be called back off to work. It's like you don't really see Rue and Maddie together a lot, but Maddie's kind of what Rue needs. She's got all that wisdom, all of that life coaching that she has in her that Rue could really use. And I just thought scenes like this were wild. It's almost like she's in between life and death in so many parts of season 3, where I don't know if it was meant to warm us up for what's going to happen at the end of the series, where it's like, hey, get used to this because this is going to be what happens. I mean, I think there's a part of it where, you know, they want to keep us engaged. Weirdly, eerily, foreshadowingly, she's spending more and more time listening to the Bible and in church and trying to get connected to that part that she never really got connected to. For the first time, she sees some sort of hope. That isn't Jules, because I think the only time we saw that was in another person. And I don't think that's really maybe the healthiest thing for her in that time. So her seeing it in something higher than herself, where it's actually serving her well and keeping her a good head on her shoulders, is a good situation to be in. There's so many moments where she is so close to getting caught and you're like, this is it. How can this turn out any better? So many emotions of the last scene too, where she's like, she's finally out. And Alamo kissing her on the forehead before what he does. Like, I knew, because I watched it a day later and I got spoilers everywhere, but I wasn't expecting it to be this scene. And I wonder if the tear was her sad and scared, or was it her releasing and hugging her dad? I think a lot of people find that particular scene really, really sad as she's, you know, going through this. She's unaliving. I think she's smiling. Like, I think she's finally back with her dad, and it's like, what situation would have been better? There's some moments where I'm just like, really, what could have been better? I don't know if she ever could have gotten out of the situation she was in. Like, there, I'm sure, could have been vigilantes who were gonna go out and try to find her after the whole Alamo thing. Like, so it's so sad. But in another sense, I do think there were beautiful parts of that scene where I don't want to say she was out of her misery, because I feel like that's such a cliche thing to say, but maybe she was. She was struggling so much. Sometimes things just can't be saved. I don't know. Maybe that's like crazy of me to say, but that obviously had to have been some part of why this decision was made to have her unalive. Now, if you are looking for something a little bit more full of laughs, you can go ahead and check out my Girls series and go rewatch Girls while you're at it, because it is so funny. Hit subscribe if you want to get more pop culture breakdowns like this, and I am so happy you spent this time with me. Love you so much. See you next time.